You know, the only way that today could have ended better is if we had a green candle day in terms of ADA. That almost happened, but we have started off on a green note for the night. We're about 2 hours into our new daily candle at the time of filming this video. And I actually want to talk about this perfect soft landing that happened throughout crypto. We actually need to talk about a beautiful rejection that took place, huge for altcoins. We need to actually talk about liquidity here in the US and what it is doing, all that and more in this video. So if you guys are new or haven't already, show your support for the channel down below, hit that subscribe button, that bell, it's free to do. It'll keep you updated anytime there's new content live here on the channel. So today basically played out the exact way that we talked about this morning. We had ups, we had downs, and when we look at these candles in terms of ADA, especially in the hourly, what we can see is that inverse head and shoulders we had been talking about, we are in fact forming that right shoulder as we speak. Does this mean this is going to play out perfect and we see this big, massive push to the upside? No, not necessarily. I will say, however, a couple things are working in our favor. We're actually seeing 1 hour RSI starting to almost get over that signal line, which would be a pretty big deal. We are actually seeing almost a bullish flip on the hourly stochastic RSI as well. So those are some great times on some shorter term perspectives. When we look at this daily candle in terms of ADA and what it's done to the charts here, we have actually seen us almost completely bottom in terms of our daily stochastic RSI. That is about as much of a soft landing as we could have hoped for. ADA retrace, guys, about, 10% overall, 12% overall, and we have completely reset. That is a huge, huge deal. And again, like I talked about yesterday, this has given us a massive amount of room to run here. Still great. We're still seeing obviously the 50-day moving average on the climb. We're still seeing that 100-day on the climb. It looks like sometime during now today's daily candle, we are going to see that 100-day cross the 200-day moving average. And again, historically, that has led us to basically the next leg, the next extension off of these consolidation zones. So we'll see what happens there. But what I will say gives me even more confidence is what BTC dominance did. We had a massive rejection today at our 200-day moving average. We wicked up, got rejected, pushed back down, finished the day red. And guess what? We are starting red once again today. You are starting to see altcoins in full swing, confidence starting to enter the crypto market that, again, we haven't seen in quite some time. We've talked so much about PTSD. We've talked so much about negative events, and people need to remember that there really wasn't a whole lot that sparked this drop in the crypto market. It was kind of a weird blip, a little bit of a retail shakeout event, but there hasn't really been enough to keep pushing us down. I'm not saying we can't go down lower. I'm not saying we can't break structure and see lower prices across the board. Don't get my words twisted, right? If we push into some of that long leverage, we could very easily see long liquidations take place. However, there has to be enough people willing to sell to move us down in terms of those prices. We'll see what happens overnight. Hopefully we don't get the same overnight trend that sucked. I don't want to wake from a dead sleep at 2 a.m. and get surprised by big, ugly red candles again. Now, something else I want to mention here as well is Crypto.com actually launched their new Core 10 crypto basket. This is actually inspired by the Bitwise 10 crypto index fund ETF. For those that aren't familiar, this received approval from the SEC and it is currently stayed, meaning they're doing a further review process. And again, ADA does fall within this basket. So we're seeing big homage paid to ADA right now. And I think that's a pretty big thing optics wise, especially when we start to get into adoption. Again, not saying this is going to impact the charts right now, but when you have this big embrace coming from, institutional money, have big embrace coming from big exchanges in the space, I mean, that's how you build momentum into more extended rallies. Something I wanted to point out here as well is US M2 money supply actually hit a new all-time high of $22 trillion. So we're actually seeing liquidity around the world rising. We're seeing a lot of money that is starting to move, and this is exactly what precedes these moves. This is why, again, when we talk about Bitcoin and that global M2 money supply, just to give you guys, should have had this pulled up. Apologize for that, guys. We talk about this M2 money supply, right? We were waiting for things to kick into gear again. We were waiting for this to start moving, and we're lagging just a little bit behind where this is at currently. But this is the 78-day offset. Some people use a 90-day offset. But you guys can see that with that offset, we tend to track what something in my mouth. We tend to track what global liquidity is doing. And right now we're kind of doing actually this consolidation zone here before what looks like this next extended leg in the market that leads us actually somewhere into the middle of September. So could that be what we're about to see? Possibly. Again, it's going to come down to confidence. It's going to come down to resilience. Do we see a lot of what we've seen during this run just continue to cause retail to flow into assets? Is this enough to push us, out of these ranges of I need to get rid of M2 here, push us out of these ranges of, 4.1% and higher USDT dominance and finally give us what we saw here back in November, or finally what we saw here back in February and March of 2024? Those are our big questions. We don't have the answers yet. We'll just have to watch, wait, and see how obviously we react tomorrow and then into the weekend. But we are building into something actually very good here. So we'll see how things progress. Again, did want to show you guys too, just in all transparency, all my longs still open. ADA long up 484%. XRP long is actually only up about 68% now. My SHIB long is up 124%. Again, if you guys do want to check out Margex or BTCC, feel free to check out the links in the description below. You can earn up to $10,000 in deposit and trading bonuses. And again, there is risk that comes with trading on leverage. Just understand that. So I appreciate you guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know your thoughts below, but have a great night. Catch you guys tomorrow. Take care.